everybody. Welcome to Tad Talk episode 2. Episode 2. This is going to be a blast. Yesterday was great. 821 people watching. We're hoping to at least 20, 30 times that today. 3 amazing guests from Maine, which is in the northeast of the UK. One of the funniest people I've had the pleasure of working with on what ship. I can't remember what ship it was because I was drunk for that entire cruise. This is Julie Barr. Hi, Julie.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Terry. How are you?
Awesome. Glad to see the hair still the same.
Of course. Ride and die with this hair.
One of the most talented people I've ever met. God, I'd be here all day just talking about what he does. He created the Flyboys. He created Miami Voice. He's been in The Mask of Zorro. He wrote a musical, which I'll let him explain a little bit later, which is amazing. But more importantly, when he was in my house in Phoenix, he sat down at the piano and like a satirical parody kind of thing, and he's freaking hilarious. Chris Orton, how you doing, mate?
Hello. I was really worried you were about to say when he was in my house, he stole something, but I would very much laid back. I'm glad you still haven't realised, so that's great. Hello.
Awesome. Are you in Edinburgh?
Yes, now? I'm in Edinburgh right now, yeah.
Edinburgh, Scotland. And finally, hands down the best voice I've ever heard live. She's brilliant, but she's funny. And won X Factor UK in 2013, the most down-to-earth celebrity I know. Sam Bailey. Hi, love.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, yeah.
Why Tennessee Titans?
Why? Because I was supposed to go to Nashville in a few weeks' time, and I'm not going now. So I'm kind of wearing this and drowning my sorrows with cream soda as we speak. Very sad times.
While we're on here, we are watching the Facebook live feed and seeing all the comments. And Melissa McLaughlin just said, "Hi, Julie."
Melissa, she's so great. She's so great.
She's going to be a guest on our show next week. It's going to be good. Well, we start the show with 3 quick fire questions, and we're going to start with Chris. Chris, you've just won $10 million on the lottery.
Amazing.
What are you going to do with it?
I've always said that the first thing I would ever do if it came to money was I would buy a dog sanctuary. I'd have my sister run it because she runs a charity for dogs called Blind Dog Rescue. Shout out. Blind Dog Rescue UK. I would let her run it. I would run it with her, and I just would stroke and walk dogs all day. I'd also then use some of the cash to buy all my friends and family from all their debt.
Nice. Dude, am I friend or family? Do I include it?
How much debt you got? How much we talking?
Right. Brilliant. Chris, if you had a choice between 2 superpowers, invisible or flying, which one would you choose? And why?
Flying. It would just save a lot of money on... I mean, I think the Flyboys would go out cheaper just because one of us wouldn't have to have a flight. So there's only paying for 3 flights. That's the only thing. That's the only benefit I can think of for that. Yeah.
More gigs.
Well, you wouldn't have to clean up all the dog mess either. You could just fly around over it.
Exactly. It's a very selfish thing, isn't it? Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Chris, finally, what's your biggest fear?
My biggest fear right now is never leaving my house. Yeah, that's it.
Apparently, Jan Stenning's with you on the doggy place.
Yeah,
I knew she would be. She's a big dog fan. Love you, Jan.
Big time. Brilliant, Chris. All right, Julie.
Yes, hello.
Are you wearing shoes right now? And if you are, let's see them.
I am not wearing shoes. It's Maine. We don't wear shoes. We just take oily rags and tie them around our feet when we go outside.
Nice. Okay. That sounds good. Julie, you've just woken up to 500 emails, and 100 of them are from the same person. 1, who are they from? And 2, who do you wish they were from?
I wish they were 500 gigs. Awesome. It's definitely spam, and it's a Nigerian prince wondering if I want to enlarge my genitals.
Nice. And Julie, what is your guilty pleasure?
I love, I have a lot of them actually, but I love really corny girl groups and like beach blanket bingo movies with Frankie and Annette or Doris Day and Rock Hudson, Legally Blonde, movies that are just really silly and innocuous, but fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Sam.
I'm slightly nervous about these questions, I have to say.
Good. Here's the first one. Give me one word that your high school friends would have used to describe you in a high school.
Oh, God, in high school. Well, I was nicknamed Striker when I was at high school because I used to play football. I was a bit of a tomboy, so my nickname was Strikes normally. That was my nickname because I played football better than the boys, really. But, ended up playing for 14 years professionally for Millwall, Charlton, QPR, Crystal Palace, West Ham, London Women, Leicester City. So yeah, I played professional football, but I was called Strikes a lot when I was younger because I just kept scoring goals.
Love it. That's something else we didn't know about you. I definitely want to get the city stuff with you. Sam, if you were shipwrecked on a deserted island and all your human needs were already taken care of, food and water and all of that, what 2 items would you want to have with you?
2 items. I would probably have to say a drum kit, a big drum kit, and I'd probably chuck Phil Collins in a suitcase and take him as well, just so he could teach me a few things.
Nice. Okay, Phil Collins and a drum kit. I like it. Last one. Who would be the worst person you would be stuck in an elevator or a lift with?
Somebody that's just had cabbage.
Oh.
Anybody that's just had cabbage?
Just anybody that's eaten any form of vegetables or just after a Sunday dinner, because I know what it's like living with my husband after he's had a Sunday dinner. So anybody that's just had Brussels sprouts or anything like that. But mainly me as well, because I'm quite windy as well. So like, I think it's quite funny to fart in a lift. My kids go, "Don't you dare." And I'm like, "No, I'm not doing anything." But yeah, I think anybody that's just had veg. What are you like on that, Terry? Are you like
me?
You a bit windy?
No, you ask Anne. I smell like essential oils.
I bet you don't.
We actually we got an episode of this TED Talk next week where it's Anne and Nick and myself, and we've got a host interviewing us. So all that crap's going to come out, I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure.
So anybody who's viewing, who's watching this, ask your questions in a short while. We're going to be asking questions to all 3 guests. But right now I want to talk about the careers, because each of these have really reached the pinnacle. I've worked with all 3 of them, and they're all amazing. So we want to learn about your career. So we're going to start with Chris. Chris, we know about the Flyboys and Miami Voice, but I know that there's so many layers to your career. So how do you synopsize how you got to where you are today? How did it start? And what was the journey?
I was born on so to sum up really quick. From leaving school, I trained in opera, and from when I finished opera, I went to study musical theatre in London, and then after that, I went into the world of musical theatre. So I've been in shows. I was in shows from sort of age 22 through till I retired about 4 years ago from actually performing in shows, like touring in West End. So I finished there. I did some great stuff. I did like Spamalot in the West End. I played Lancelot in Spamalot, which was absolutely incredible. But whilst I was doing those shows, I kind of felt like I needed to have some more strings to my bow. I needed to be doing other things. I like to think I'm quite creative, so I wanted I was always writing. That was the thing. I was always writing shows, writing music. So I always had that on the go. And I sort of started realizing that when I was in shows, I wasn't really paying it enough attention. I was always kind of going, what else could I be doing? I thought it really wasn't fair to my acting career that I wasn't paying it enough attention. So I thought, right, I'll tell my agent, that's enough. I'll jump on and actually focus on something I wanted to create. And that's when I started creating Flyboys. Since then, obviously, as you said, Miami Voice, which I co-created with Tim Bonza. Shout out to Tim. And also on the side, I've been writing musicals, one of which called My Land's Shore has been performed a couple of times, once in London, once in Wales, and actually I just pitched it the other day for when all of this is over, if it is over. I think District 2 are going to perform it in their district in the Hunger Games to sort of close the Hunger Games. So I think we're going to, I've sort of, I don't know what else to say. I write a lot. I write a lot of comedy. I like writing comedy songs. Hoping to get a show up and running with my comedy, but I've just got to build up the courage. I'll chat to Julie about that after, about building up the courage to actually just stand in front of people and try and make them laugh. I think it is one of the hardest professions in the world, other than being a surgeon. That's kind of my career. That's it.
It's brilliant. You know, Chris, you really are hilarious. When you was at the house, it's something we didn't know about you. So I think you're gonna kill that part of it. But also the violin, you did that thing with Bernadette and the aria on the ship from the dressing room. Just uber talented. Sam's taking a picture of herself.
No, I'm trying to put it on Instagram that we're here. So I'm like,
Instagramming.
Just ignore me.
You're so cool. You're so cool.
To put links up to everybody to say that we're on.
Brilliant. Well, Tim Bonza just joined us, so Tim, you have to rewind it to get your shout out.
I gave you a shout out, Tim. I gave you a shout out. You might have missed it.
I also want to mention Christian Phillips as well with you, because Christian, he's on my show, not next week, the week after. And brilliant. Christian, as you know, is a great friend. He is, I mean, I don't have enough superlatives for him.
He's a genius. I met Christian actually when I was singing with Tenors of Rock years ago. I went and did some cruises with Tenors of Rock. And that's how I met, I met Christian then, but I think I'd worked with him on a show that he had written along with Carol Parry-Jones, Grand Slam, which is about Wales winning a Grand Slam years ago. I was in that show with him, he wrote the music for, and I knew that when I was setting up Flyboys, I was like, I know this guy's going to absolutely be the gift that keeps on giving with Flyboys. So I asked him to do some vocal arrangements for me, and now he's working with Flyboys all the time. Yeah,
brilliant. Great team.
It's gone up to 223 people now from 25. So
that's since I mentioned Christian.
Keep it going, Sam. Michelle McLaughlin said, Chris, your career and closet hanging skills are equally amazing.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you.
Tim saw the shout out, and Jan said, can you play the violin?
Can I play the violin? What now?
I mean, like now.
I actually could play it right now if you wanted. If you talk to someone else, I'll get the violin out and get it.
You want to do that?
It just happens to be right here.
While Chris is grabbing the violin, while Chris is getting the violin, we're going to cut to some video.
I've got a trumpet down there.
Check this out.
Outside, inside out, she's living la vida loca. She'll push and pull you down, living la vida loca. Her lips are devil red and her skin is the color of mocha. She will wear you out, living la vida loca, living la vida loca.
That's the Flyboys are amazing. And the new show is Miami Voice too, which is equally amazing. We're going to be showing some of that on our TAD Facebook page. Sam, what were you screaming about? You've got a trumpet?
Well, I'm in my music room, so I've got trumpets, I've got saxophones, I've got everything in here.
Can't play them, but she's got them, and that's what counts.
I can't play them for nothing or money. I have got them.
If Julie's got a kazoo, we can have a cyber jam here.
I was just going to say, I can play my armpit.
I can play Strangers in the Night on the trumpet. That's about it.
All right, well, get the trumpet out for a bit.
No,
and
no, you don't want to hear that, trust me.
Give us a blast, Chris.
All right, I'll give you a blast of. This is what I always. This is the little party piece to play. This is one of the Godfather themes. This is my favourite thing to play.
Wow, that's so cool. I taught him during the break. I taught him all of that.
She did.
Michael Paul said, "Okay, now do fiddler." Superb.
Thank you.
Sheena Jane Jones said, "Play the saxophone, Sam."
No, I've got it down there. It's not even come out of the box since I did Chicago in 2016.
All right, Sam, your career. Now, we all know from 2013 on, it was brilliant, your whole journey on X Factor, and since then and so on. But I know there's 20 years plus before that of you killing it out.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. But I also want to hear at some point, you've got to tell the story of the banging of the metal cups in the prison.
Because I was worried about what you were asking me.
No.
There's so many stories. In the prison service?
Yeah, you know when you were on the final.
So I worked in a male lifers prison in Leicester called Gartrey, and there was around about 700 something like that, just over 700 prisoners. And the night that I won the X Factor, because obviously prisoners have TVs in their cells, and it's like an incentive earned privilege. They have to earn it. Good behaviour gets you a TV. So majority of prisoners had TVs in their cells, and they all settled down for the night, locked up behind their doors at like 6 o'clock at night. So the X Factor comes on, and there's only like a couple of officers now on the wings because everybody's locked up, so there don't need to be loads of officers. And when I won, what normally happens if Man United are playing Liverpool, when Man United score, Man United supporters will all bang on their cell doors. Well, if you can imagine the noise of 700 odd prisoners all banging on their cell doors the night I won, and the officers that worked there that night said that it was just the most amazingly craziest noise they've ever heard inside a jail. Quite scary, but also everybody was kind of celebrating, which was nice. But yeah, it's pretty mental. It's but I started singing when I was 15. I fancied a Haven mate on a Haven holiday, and I slow danced with this Haven mate, and I was only 14, 15, and he was like 21, and I was like, oh my god, he's so fit. And so basically we were dancing to Superwoman by Karen White, and I just couldn't stop singing the song after that. And then next thing you know, I was being paid Mars bars to sing in the girls' toilets at the local youth club, and that's where my career started, really. I earned so many Mars bars back in the day.
We're going to cut to a video. If you haven't heard Sam sing, go and check her out live anyway, because she's sensational. But check out this video clip.
I'm gonna sing my heart out. I can feel the weight just lifting, as if there's no one out there listening. Wanna sing my heart out, so I can get myself together. It's the only thing that makes it better. Sing my...
Unbelievable. You know, after this, go on YouTube and check out Sam singing, and I'm telling you, there's a zillion versions of it. But I mean, and you know, obviously at TAD we do these expos, and we have so many acts on there. Sam was in Phoenix, not this year, last year, and I'll never forget you singing that song. And I looked over. I wasn't at the same table as Anne, my wife. I looked over. She was actually sat with my uncle and auntie, and we were both crying. And we were crying because, and this might seem a bit self-indulgent, but it's not. We were crying because we built Tad up from nothing, and we sat with one of the best singers in the world singing at our expo, blowing everybody away.
Oh,
amazing, Sam. Yeah, you're incredible. So it was good.
One second, my daughter's trying to get in the loft. 1 second, I've just got to tell her.
There's a few comments here. Scotty Pearson says she's got the best accent ever.
Yeah.
Have I?
That's what he says.
Get away, no. Come and sit with me.
And Nick said, if anyone's watching needs a translator for Sam, I got you. Hey, who's this?
This is Miley. She's our little X Factor baby. This one was born just after the X Factor in 2014. Weren't you?
Miley the celebration. I like it. There's a viewer question for you here. Sam says it's from Jonathan Ridley. Do you miss working in the prison?
I do miss what I did there, because the job is quite a rewarding job, and when you can help people become better people, you know, you have got people in there that just don't want to be better people. They just want to just fester. But there are some really, really, I'm not going to say nice people, but people that are willing to change and that have had rough childhood. So you'll work with them, and you'll kind of have an understanding of the sort of person they are and why they're the way they are. And prison officers are not just people that swing keys and look hard with bald heads. I mean, I definitely had hair, but you know, they're people that are trained by psychiatrists, by psychologists, and I've got what the equivalent of a degree in custodial care. You know, so it's a lot is said about prison officers that they're just people in uniform that look hard and that swing keys, and they're not. And that's the part that I miss about the job, is actually physically seeing somebody become a nicer, better, more understanding, more rehabilitated, basically. So
good for you. You can tell it means a lot to you.
It does, yeah, absolutely. Julie.
Well, I'm definitely the juvenile delinquent of the three of us, for sure. You have accomplished amazing, amazing things, and I have survived. That is what I have done.
How long have you been making people laugh?
I think my mom would tell you since I was born. She said that I think stuff is funny, nobody else thinks is funny, and I always have. So I started out similar to Sam. I started out wanting to be a special ed teacher and working with kids, but I had a challenge with the administration and the parents. The kids are great, but the parents and the administration, those are the hard times. And somebody suggested that I try stand-up. And I did, and it was very scary, but I just kept doing it because it had everything that I loved. I could stay up late at night. I could hang out in bars. I could, not take stuff seriously, all good things. And so I started out doing stand-up in Boston. There was a lot of stage time. And I love Boston because there was a lot of great comics out of Boston. And they taught me how to be a great stand-up. And then in 99, I still couldn't get work because I was a woman. They wouldn't let me headline shows after all that time. So I started stand-up probably in 1980. So 19 years, and they wouldn't let me headline. So I just was working day jobs and, doing drunken brawl gigs wherever I could. And then I found ships, and I love working on ships because I am treated like a headliner. The audience is there, the technicians are there. It's fantastic. And people are on vacation, so they're looking to be lighthearted. And I love that. I really love that ability to be with people who are trying to lighten up a little bit. And I've been the Queen of the Sea for 20 years, something like that. But I love it. I mean, I've had a lot of wonderful opportunities. I think I've worked with a lot of really wonderful people. My favorite thing about being at sea is that I get to be with people like Chris and Sam. When you're in a comedy club, you're just with other comedians. But when you're on a cruise ship, you get to meet singers and jugglers and magicians and ventriloquists and aerialists and really amazing people from all over the world.
Absolutely. You know, Michael Paul just sent a message, and it's gone off my feed. It was a great question. I'm going to try and paraphrase it, because he says, Julia, as the spiritual growth that you post online, has that impacted or affected your sharp humor at all?
It absolutely has. I love that question. So coming up in clubs and stuff, I got sober. It's been 30 years. And being sober, you're trying to figure out what it all means and what's the point of this. And so in that, I started doing a lot of spiritual searching. And once again, tipping my hat to Sam, I spend a lot of time going to jails and women's hospitals to talk to women about being sober and changing their lives. So the greatest thing that spirituality has done for me is twofold. One, I just need to be happy. And if I'm happy and having fun, then other people are going to be happy and have fun around me, or they're going to just go away. And two, whether people love you or hate you has nothing to do with you. And once you can let go of that, then you are free to be the creator you really are.
Good for you. Good for you.
Thanks.
Nick Davies said, Julie, when did you decide on the pink hair?
Well, it was my actual natural color. I just had to get rid of the brown so that the pink could shine through.
That's
Nice.
brilliant.
Hey, Sam, Michael Paul said, can you say hello, governor, for us Americans?
Hello, governor. How's it going?
I love Michael Paul. He's so funny.
Yeah, Michael's great. You know, Michael has actually helped us put this TED Talk together. He's going to be a guest.
Michael would be called, if he lived in, like, down south, he'd be called Mickey Boy. Hello, Mickey Boy. Mickey son, how's it going? Mickey. Hello, MP.
That's great. Cool.
Yeah,
All right, moving on.
When I came over to you to Phoenix, when I was on that flight, that was when the helicopter crash happened at Leicester City.
Of course it was, yeah.
Yeah, that's the only reason I remember being on that flight, because as soon as I got off the flight, I had umpteen text messages on my phone to say that Vishai had passed away and there'd been a massive helicopter crash. My husband had been to the game.
Yeah, a lot of people won't know this, but in England, there's the Premier League, soccer, football is massive, and Sam is heavily involved with Leicester City Football Club, and the primary investor, Vishai, is it?
Vishai, yeah.
Wonderful man. And he was took off after the game in a helicopter and crashed.
Like he did every single game from the centre circle. Every single game he'd always leave on his helicopter, and it went over the ground and crashed into the car park.
No.
Just outside the car park. Most of the players witnessed it because they were first to the scene, because they was all leaving the ground. It was horrendous. I just remember being at yours, and I was trying to stay on UK time because when I flew back, I got upgraded on the way home. I was in first class on the way home. It was great. I loved it. So I slept all the way home because I stayed on UK time because that showcase was in the afternoon. So as soon as I got back, I went to bed and I stayed on UK time. So when I got back, I didn't have any jet lag at all. And we went straight to the ground and took flowers, took shirts, took the kids down there, saw Vishai's son, spoke to him a little bit, and it was just, there was thousands. It just brought me back, literally. When I went over to you, it was that date, it was that night that I flew over to you, to Arizona.
Wow.
Mental.
All right. Next section, I've got this little section called Where in the World is Terry?
Okay.
All right. So, Chris, this one's for you. All right. I want you to tell me, where am I?
You look like you're outside the book depository where Kennedy was shot.
Look at you. I like it. Get in, Chris.
Come on.
Absolutely. The Texas.
I'm a big conspiracy theorist myself. I'm all over that. I'm all over it.
Well, off air, I've got to tell you about the trip that Nick and Julia did for me on my 60th birthday. It was.
You're making a wonderful grassy knoll right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. Well, I'll tell you really quick. I'll make this short. So I've been, I read book, and one of the bucket list things I wanted to do was go to Dealey Plaza. So they set up this whole day where we did the museum and so on. But there's a replica of the.
You're not going to like them.
The limo, the convertible, and you have to get it like 3 years in advance. It's crazy, and we didn't have it. And I was telling them about this limo all the time, and they were kind of playing it down. I went to get a coffee, and Nick and Julia separated from me, and then Anne, we walked around this corner. And as we're walking around the corner, I said to Anne, there's a convertible. So we walked up to it. It's got the presidential seal and everything. And it was right there just at the top of the grassy knoll. And Nick was about 5 or 6 yards away talking to this guy. So I went over. I said, Nick, you remember I told you about this car yesterday? This is it. He says, I know. And then the guy said, yeah, I'm the one who owned it. We've rented it. It's yours for the day. So they had rented it for me. And we actually did the whole, it sounds a bit morbid, but it was surreal. We did the route. We did the route and came up Elm Street and turned, and yeah, it's
Terry, when I was on a ship sometime last year, and I was smoking cigars with one of the guests, and that's where you meet all the really interesting people. And I met a doctor who was a resident at the hospital in Texas. And he just had come back from lunch when they were bringing in President Kennedy and Senator Connally. So he was doing his residency at the hospital and was there when they came in. And I thought that was a very interesting person. He was a really interesting guy to talk to.
Wow. All right, Julie.
Yes. I was nowhere near the grassy knoll. That looks like Salt Lake City.
Close, but no.
What? Where is that?
Any ideas? Do you guys have any ideas?
Denver?
It is. It's Denver.
Oh, Denver, nice.
Denver, Colorado. I put that on there because that's where Nick and Julie are getting married. We're close to there. Anyway.
Nice. Do they
and
I need a flower girl? Because I'm available.
Yeah, I'll tell them.
Yeah.
I've got 2 for Sam. Sam, where am I?
You are at, is that Nottingham Forest?
Come on.
Hang on. Oh, Manchester United. Oh, God.
But really, where am I now? Where am I now?
Hang on. Isn't that London?
Nope.
Looks like Newcastle. Is it Newcastle?
That building.
What's that?
That bird on the top of that building.
That's Liverpool.
Liverpool.
The liver birds.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. There you go. All right. I've got a question for all of you. We ask this on every show, and this is fun. You got the next hour you can spend with 2 people in one place. Where would be the one place and the 2 people, dead or alive, that you'd like to spend the next hour with? Anybody, about anything, funny, emotional, whatever. So we're going to go with you, Sam.
Okay, so I've already mentioned this person. So my dad passed away in 2008, and I come from a family of drummers. So as well as having trumpets and saxophones and everything up here, I've also got a couple of drum kits stored up here as well. And obviously my dad passed away like 12 years ago, but probably in the last 6 months, I've really started to sort of miss him. So last year, I went to see Phil Collins, because Phil Collins' music makes me feel close to my dad. I feel like I'm in the same room. I don't know about anyone else, that when I listen to certain songs, I can almost hear people talking over the top of it, like in my house. I'm straight back in my front room when I was a kid, and my dad had all his mates round, and I can hear everyone talking over the top of the music. So I just feel really close to my dad. So I went to Prague to see Phil Collins in concert, and I absolutely loved it, and I cried all the way through it. And this year I'm working with the Little Dreams Foundation, so I'm helping mentor some kids from the Little Dreams Foundation, which is Phil Collins' charity. So they've asked, well, I basically offered my services to him, pay it forward kind of thing. So I may well get to meet Phil Collins in the future, but I just wanted to pay it forward. But if I could, I would be in a big drum studio full of drums with my dad and Phil Collins. I even wrote to Jim will Fix It, but we won't go there.
No.
I actually did write to Jim will Fix It many years ago, asking if I could play the drums with Phil Collins and my dad. So I kind of want that to come true, but I don't want Jim to fix it for me, obviously.
No, you've had a lucky escape there, really, let's be honest.
I think I did. Yeah, I think I definitely did, yeah. I also asked Jim to fix it for me, to have a peace concert in my back garden with East 17 and Take That, because I was so sick of them arguing all the time. I'm such a crank.
That's nice. Hey, Chris, Beth Shasma asked, are those the official Flyboys shoes we can see behind you?
Yeah, but wait for it. Can you see those there?
Yeah.
In the glass cabinet. First pair I ever bought and wore these. This is so like nerdy. It's ridiculous.
Ooh la la.
Look at that. That's great, Chris. That's not nerdy. That's pride.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
First pair I ever wore. They're ripped to shreds.
Love a bit of memorabilia. That's great.
Yeah, they are.
See,
Thanks,
my
Beth.
house. Full
You
of it.
what?
My house is full of memorabilia.
Oh, I bet.
I'd frame poo if I could.
Lovely.
On that note, Chris, one place, two people, who would it be?
I'll keep it very short and sweet. A jacuzzi with you and Jan, just pitching you shows, drinking cocktails, just pitching shows. I'd have an hour of your attention. Be great.
We are not doing that again.
After the crazy times last time.
No, that's great. I mean, I'll tell you what we're all going through right now. Just sitting talking about gigs would be a wonderful.
Wouldn't it just?
Yeah, that's awesome. Julie, what about you?
Well, of course, there are a lot of really funny people I would like to talk to, but I've been very fascinated with my great-grandmother's cousin was Susan B. Anthony. And at the time, Frederick Douglass and Susan B. Anthony were both trying to figure out whose rights should be advocated for, women or people of color. And there was this whole big thing. And I would love to have a conversation with the two of them about where they were and how they really felt, and their insights into that, because they were both working closely together, and that was around the time Harriet Tubman was around. So that would have been a very interesting time in American history to hear about.
Absolutely, that's great. Hey, 3 great answers there. That's superb. We're winding down. I would love all 3 of you to jump on this feed. We're going to keep it on our Facebook page. And there's so many people writing here, some pretty cool comments, a lot of weird ones as well, including Jan saying, I do not want to be in a jacuzzi with Terry again.
Oh,
no, she didn't say again, that was me. But thanks all three of you. We're recording this on March 27th, and we are smack in the middle of the coronavirus outbreak. And we actually, maybe I'm hopeful that we're at the middle and not at the beginning of it, because who knows where we're going to be at the end of this. But tough time for our industry. The goal of this is to bring us all together, talk about something that maybe isn't as important, but put a smile on everybody's face. And you three have been great today. So thank you so much.
Terry, I just really want to say this. We have a choice. I believe we have a choice right now. We can either be focused on the problem, or we can be focused on the fact that people are being inspired all over the planet for cures, for ways to deal with this, for inspiration for going forward. And so I'm just asking everybody to sit in the solution and sit in the idea that people are on their way to fixing this, and this will carry forward so that the next one won't be as devastating for all of us.
Absolutely. You going to say, Chris? You going to say something?
No, I wasn't. I definitely don't make me follow that. That's ridiculous. I've got nothing positive.
I have got something quickly to say, that anybody that's got kids that are at home and they're stressing about trying to homeschool their children, I'm not putting too much pressure on my kids, because our mental well-being is so much more important than anything at the moment. So if there's any parents out there that are watching that have got kids and they're stressing about having to do maths in the morning and English in the morning and doing this, as long as your kids are happy, you're not trapped, you are safe. There's a difference.
Right.
So anybody that's at home, you're not trapped. You aren't trapped. You're in a safe place, and that's the most important thing to think about. And
right, well,
as long as she's happy.
I've got to say something now, because everyone's saying something positive. So I will say, make sure in the morning, get up and put some trousers on. Don't just walk around in your pants all day, because that is the biggest thing for you psychologically. Just get up, put some trousers on. Don't walk around in your boxer shorts all day. That's about.
What about naked Thursdays?
Naked Thursdays are fine. They're fine.
And Chris, I'm sat here in my Speedo on my Flyboy shoes.
Derek, nobody should ever wear a Speedo, ever, 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 never.
Dodgy smugglers.
Thanks everyone for joining us. Episode 2, Tad Talk, Julie Barr, Chris Orton, Sam Bailey. And we'll be back on Monday with episode 3. We'll see you then. Thanks very much. Bye.
Nice to meet you.